Hey guys, tonight we're going to slow things down and sit with a story that matters. This one starts with a young man who just wanted to do something thoughtful. A small gesture, a necklace for his mother. But the world doesn't always let good intentions stay simple. Before we begin, please like the video and subscribe, but only if stories like this truly move you. Comment your city and the time you're watching. Now close your eyes or don't, it's your choice. Either way, you're about to witness something real. It's a still Tuesday afternoon in Scottsdale, Arizona, the kind of day where everything feels a little too quiet, like the sun's hanging motionless, and the pavement hasn't decided whether it wants to burn or just shimmer. The outdoor shopping plaza hums with the kind of artificial calm found only in affluent places. Palm trees stand like polite guards along the walkway, and the air is cut with the scent of citrus and boutique candles from somewhere nearby. Stores line the concrete with gold-lettered names, and near the corner sits Weston Calder Jewelry, sleek, spotless, and cold. Marcus Greene stops just short of the entrance. 19 years old, thin-frame navy hoodie zipped up over a bookstore name tag he forgot to remove, and sneakers worn clean from double shifts. In his right pocket is the money 3 months of stocking and saving, and in his chest a nervous pride that twitches every time someone walks by too slow. He checks his phone. 2:36 p.m. He's rehearsed this moment. Go in, smile. Don't fidget, don't touch too much. Just ask politely. He steps inside. The air conditioning hits his face like a warning, too cold, too sterile. Inside it smells of lavender and glass polish. Everything gleams. Diamonds blink behind crystal cases. Rings sit perfectly spaced like a museum display. And in the center, behind a counter of brushed metal and velvet trays, a middle-aged man in a suit wipes fingerprints that aren't there. The man glances up, neutral smile, quick scan of Marcus's hoodie, then a subtle nod. Afternoon, let me know if I can help you. Marcus replies with a soft, thanks, just looking. He moves with care, like each step needs permission. Not because he's guilty of anything, but because when you grow up learning how you're seen, you learn how to move so you don't become the wrong kind of noticed. He scans the cases slowly. Most of the necklaces are way past his price range, tiny tags whispering 92599, 1483, 200. But then tucked in the corner of one velvet tray, something simpler catches his eye. A delicate gold chain with a small, flat key pendant hanging from the center. Clean, elegant, quiet, just like his mom. He smiles softly to himself, imagining her opening the box. Camille Greene 44, composed even in the morning's blazer, always pressed badge, never flashed without cause. She doesn't wear much, just a watch and silver hoops. But Marcus always thought she deserved more. He leans forward, eyes locked on the little key. Thinking about a gift, the man behind the counter says, stepping closer. Yeah, Marcus replies, voice even. My mom's birthday. Well, you've got good taste. That one's 14 karat. Want to see it up close? Marcus nods. Yes, please. The man retrieves it carefully, lays it out on a black velvet pad. Marcus leans in. It's perfect. Not flashy, just right. But not everything stays buried forever. Across the room, someone watches. A woman, mid-60s, platinum bob, designer blouse, pressed pants, clutching a handbag that costs more than Marcus's car. Judith Harper. She entered 2 minutes ago, said nothing, made no sound, but she noticed him. Her eyes never landed on the necklaces or the rings, just Marcus. Watched him, studied him, decided something. And without a word, her phone is already out. Her thumb moves in quiet precision. Marcus is still studying the necklace. Do you guys take Apple Pay, he asks. We do. He smiles, okay. I might need to do a partial hold, got enough, just need to check on a gift card. No problem. We can do a 24-hour hold with a small deposit. Marcus nods grateful. That's perfect. He reaches for his wallet, unbothered by the fact that across the room, Judith Harper is walking toward the exit, voice low into her phone. Yes, hi, she says. I need to report something suspicious. Her voice blends into the outdoor hum. And inside Marcus is just a young man in a jewelry store, still believing this moment belongs to him. Outside the store, Judith Harper paces slowly near a flowered planter, her phone still pressed to her ear. Her voice is hushed but urgent, carefully chosen to sound concerned, not hysterical. Yes, he's been glancing around, looks very nervous. He's wearing a dark hoodie jeans, tall thin build, African American. He hasn't taken anything yet, but it feels off. I think he's scoping the place. Inside, Marcus is still unaware. Still standing at the counter, watching the associate tuck the necklace into a small felt pouch, labeling it with the date and deposit receipt. His fingers drum lightly against the glass, restless but polite. His phone buzzes in his pocket. A message from his roommate. "Yeah, I still got that Visa card. You can swap me cash today if you want." Marcus exhales through his nose, relief warming his chest. He'll make it work. The associate hands over the receipt. "There you go, Mr. Greene. We'll hold it until close tomorrow." Marcus nods with a quiet thank you and tucks the small paper into his wallet. His hand lingers a moment before he starts turning toward the exit. That's when the shift happens. From behind the pristine glass doors, two police cruisers roll to a slow, deliberate stop. Both cars stay parked, idle hum vibrating through the stillness of the plaza. The doors open in sync. Two officers step out, one tall, gray, buzz-cut lean frame. The other shorter, stockier, hair tied neatly back. They walk toward the jewelry store without urgency but with intent, hands not on their belts but close. Marcus doesn't see them at first, but the clerk does. His smile freezes, his hands clasp together. His eyes flicker toward the doors, then quickly away. Marcus notices. He turns just in time to see the uniformed officers enter. The bell above the door rings unnaturally sharp. The sound cuts the air like a warning shot. They scan the room, then walk straight toward him. "Excuse me, son," says the taller one, Officer Whitmore. His voice is calm, rehearsed. "Mind stepping over here for a moment?" Marcus freezes. "What's You're not in trouble. We just need to ask you a few questions." The female officer badge reading S. Kelly steps to his left. "It's nothing formal, we promise. Just a quick conversation." Marcus swallows the receipt still folded in his wallet. I didn't do anything." "We understand it," Officer Whitmore says. "This'll only take a second." He doesn't yell, doesn't protest. He knows better. He follows them toward a quieter part of the store near a row of sapphire rings. The air feels thinner, they're heavier somehow. Whitmore stands just a few feet away. "What's your name, son?" "Marcus. Marcus Greene. Were you here alone today?" "Yes." "Where do you live, Tempe?" "I took the bus. I work at the campus bookstore." Whitmore jots something in a small notebook. Kelly watches closely. "We received a call," she says, "about suspicious behavior." Marcus's eyebrows draw in. "Suspicious? I was just buying a necklace. I left a deposit. You can ask the guy behind the counter." Kelly keeps her tone soft. "Do you have any ID?" "I'm 19, he says slowly. "Do you need my student ID, please?" He pulls out his wallet, deliberately slow fingers steady, and hands over his ASU card. They inspect it. Whitmore nods slightly, hands it back. From the far end of the store, the associate steps out from behind the counter. "Officers," he says cautiously. "I don't know what was reported, but Marcus didn't do anything. He's a paying customer. He left a deposit for an item, was perfectly polite the whole time." Kelly glances at him, then back at Marcus. "Just making sure everything checks out." Marcus's voice is quieter now. "So is that what this is? Just checking to see if the black kid in a hoodie paid for what he touched." Whitmore's eyes narrow slightly, but he doesn't respond. Then the door opens again, and everything changes. "Is there a problem here?" The voice is calm, but carries an unmistakable weight. Marcus turns around. His heart both calms and tightens at once. Standing at the entrance, still holding the door open behind her, is Camille Greene. Blazer slacks hair pulled into a clean twist badge clipped to her hip, and eyes that miss nothing. She steps forward. "Marcus, you okay?" He nods, unsure what to say. Kelly and Whitmore glance at each other. Camille steps closer. "Officers," she says smoothly. "What's going on?" Whitmore clears his throat. "We received a call about potential suspicious activity. Did the staff report any threat?" She cuts in. "No, ma'am," Kelly answers. "Was anything stolen?" "No." "Was there a specific suspect description that matched my son's silence?" Camille tilts her head slightly. "So let me be clear. You responded to a vague call from a private citizen with no actual crime, no behavior beyond shopping, and you decided to pull a 19-year-old aside in a jewelry store because, what, he looked like someone who didn't belong." Whitmore shifts his stance. "We were following up. Protocol." Marcus finally speaks again, softly. I was just buying a necklace. Camille turns to him, scans him head to toe like a mother and a federal agent all at once. Did you raise your voice? No. Did you argue? No. She turns back to the officers. This is exactly why I trained him how to speak calmly to police. Why I told him to never reach fast, to lower his tone even when he's scared. Because moments like this happen every day to young men who are just trying to exist. And then for the first time, she turns her gaze toward the window where Judith Harper is now visible standing near the planter, again watching. Camille's jaw tightens. I assume that's the caller. Kelly doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. Not everything stays buried forever. Camille doesn't walk toward the woman right away. She holds the space between them like it's sacred, like that silence itself has weight. Her eyes stay fixed on Judith Harper through the pane of glass, but her voice returns to the officers beside her. I want to be clear, she says low and direct. My son, who has committed no crime, made no scene, and engaged in nothing but respectful commerce, was questioned because someone didn't feel comfortable with the way he looked. Whitmore starts to respond, but she lifts her hand slightly. Let me finish. He closes his mouth. Camille exhales once. Her tone doesn't rise, but it sharpens. You may not have intended to escalate, but the second two officers walked in and flanked a teenage boy without cause, the story changed. You gave fear a badge, and you forced my son to prove he belonged in a place he never should have had to justify. The words aren't just statements, they're indictments. Kelly shifts awkwardly, glancing between Marcus and Camille. Her mouth opens like she wants to say something, maybe an apology, but Camille doesn't wait for it. She turns to Marcus again, checking his posture, his expression. The same hands that once helped him tie his shoes now rest gently on his shoulder, anchoring him in place. You did fine, she tells him quietly. You stayed calm. Marcus tries to speak, but the words are caught somewhere behind his ribs. He just nods. And then Camille finally moves. She steps toward the entrance of the store. The bell chimes behind her as she crosses into the afternoon glare. Her steps are measured quiet. She doesn't call out, doesn't shout. But Judith notices. The older woman straightens like she's been caught doing something illegal. She fiddles with the strap of her handbag, lips pressing into a polite pinched smile. Camille stops just in front of her, maintaining distance but not retreating. The space between them is heavy with unspoken things. You called the police, Camille says plainly. Judith swallows. I didn't mean for things to get out of hand. I just thought he looked uneasy. Uneasy, Camille repeats. Judith's voice falters. He was looking around. I thought maybe, you thought a black teenager in a hoodie must be casing the place. No, that's not, Camille cuts her off with a glance. Not cruel, not loud, but final. There was no threat. There was no theft. There was only your assumption. Judith's face tightens. She draws in a sharp breath, but the apology never finds its footing. Camille leans forward just enough. When you see someone you don't recognize in a space you associate with wealth, does your instinct lead you to observation or accusation? Judith blinks, taken aback. I was trying to be cautious. No, you were trying to feel safe at the expense of someone else's dignity. For a moment, neither woman speaks. The fountainaire nearby gurgles softly, filling the pause. Camille steps back. She doesn't wait for more, because she knows no words will fix what happened in that store. Not today. She turns and walks back inside. Marcus is still standing by the counter, receipt in hand. The associate has remained in the background, watching with guilt stamped across his face. Camille walks to her son's side, folding her arms across her chest. You ready to go? She asks. Marcus doesn't move. Actually, he says, his voice barely audible. Can I finish this? Camille tilts her head. You want to pay the rest? He nods. I don't want to walk out half done. I want to finish it. A smile flickers across her lips. All right. He steps up to the counter. I'd like to pay the full amount now, Marcus tells the associate. The man blinks, startled, then recovers quickly. Of course, sir. One moment. The moment stretches. Camille watches Judith re-enter the store, standing awkwardly by the door, phone still in hand. But this time she doesn't lift it. She watches Marcus complete the sale, watches him tap his phone, complete the transaction with the same Apple Pay she feared he might try to steal. The quiet beep of the payment terminal feels louder than any siren. The associate carefully places the necklace box into a velvet pouch, then slides it across the counter. "Happy birthday to your mom," he says, more sincere this time. Marcus nods, takes it, then turns. As they walk toward the door, Camille pauses and looks back. Not at the clerk, not at the officers, but directly at Judith. She speaks clearly. "Next time you feel uncomfortable, ask yourself why. Then ask what harm a silence could prevent." Judith doesn't answer. She just stands there, still pretending she has somewhere else to be. Camille and Marcus walk into the sunlight. Not everything stays buried forever, but dignity once reclaimed walks beside you. The air outside feels different now. Not cooler, not lighter, just clearer. The kind of clarity that only comes after something raw has been laid bare. Camille walks beside Marcus in silence, not rushing him, letting the gravity of what just happened settle in its own time. They reach her car, a black government SUV with federal plates. She unlocks it remotely, opens the passenger door like she used to when he was still in elementary school, when his backpack was too big for his body and his shoes were always untied. Without a word, Marcus climbs in. He doesn't slump, but he doesn't sit proud either. He just stares straight ahead, hands on his lap, the small velvet pouch resting between them like a fragile truth. Camille gets behind the wheel, closes the door, exhales. Neither of them speaks for a few seconds. Then Marcus breaks the quiet. You tracked me." She doesn't look at him yet. "I got an alert from the fraud protection app. You used our family Apple Pay for a purchase over $400. It pings my profile when a new location is added." He gives a small huff, not quite a laugh. "So I really can't escape you, huh?" Camille finally turns and meets his eyes. "You're not a kid anymore. You're a young black man in a country where perception walks faster than truth. I don't track you to control you, Marcus. I track you because sometimes I need to know you're safe before the world decides otherwise." He nods slowly. He can't argue with that. He doesn't want to. Camille taps the steering wheel, once thoughtful. "You handled yourself well. Kept your voice steady. Didn't escalate." Marcus shakes his head. "Didn't feel steady. My heart was going crazy. You didn't show it. That matters." He leans back against the headrest. His gaze is still distant. "It's messed up. I just wanted to buy you something nice." And somehow that turned into a report. Camille watches him. Watches the way he tries to keep his posture upright, like dignity is something you have to hold in your spine. "That woman," he mutters, "she didn't even look nervous when the cops showed up. Like she knew she'd be protected no matter what." "She probably did," Camille replies evenly. "What happens to people like her," he asks, "after something like that?" "Nothing, right? They go home. Tell themselves they were just being careful." Camille doesn't answer right away. Then she says yes. Most times nothing happens to them. No headlines, no citations, no consequences. But sometimes something small sticks. A sentence, a silence. A look that lingers longer than it should. And that sticks in their mind. Marcus looks at her. "That's enough," she says. But it's a start. The car hums softly. A breeze rolls over the plaza. For a moment, neither mother nor son speaks. Then Marcus says, "I want to go back." Camille tilts her head. "You already paid for it. We're done." He straightens slightly. "Yeah, but I want to go back inside." With the bag in my hand, I want her to see it. I want the guy behind the counter to see it. I want the room to feel what I just lived through. Camille's expression shifts. Not surprise pride, quiet pride, full price, no hold, he adds. She smiles gently. "All right," she says, placing the car in park again. "Let's go make them uncomfortable." They step out together. Camille walks slightly behind, allowing Marcus the space to lead this time. His hoodie sleeves pushed up, his shoulders a little higher than before. The small velvet bag swinging at his side like something earned. They re-enter the jewelry store. The bell above the door chimes again, and this time it sounds different. Inside, the atmosphere tenses again. Not hostile, but alert. The associate looks up, blinking in surprise. A customer pretends to examine bracelets with sudden interest. And near the far display of engagement rings, Judith Harper stiffens like a statue at the sound of their return. Marcus walks to the counter. Calm, purposeful. "I'd like to complete the purchase," he says. The associate, startled but polite, clears his throat. "Of course." "Yes, sir. Let me just reopen the transaction." Camille stays back, arms folded, eyes scanning the room like a detective who never quite clocks out. She doesn't speak, doesn't glare, just observes. Judith begins to move toward them, awkwardly holding her purse like a shield. I, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry," she says, her voice low, unsure. "I didn't mean for it to." Camille doesn't turn. "You meant to call the police," she says softly. "You meant to describe him as suspicious. That wasn't an accident." Judith's voice trembles. I, I was trying to be safe. There's been stories on the news. I thought." Marcus turns to face her now. "What about me scared you, the hoodie, my skin? Or the fact that I was standing still in a store where I didn't fit your idea of a customer?" Judith stares at him. Her mouth opens, but no answer comes. Camille finally turns. "You didn't want to be the victim of a crime," she says, "so you became the author of a different one. One where guilt didn't need evidence. Just a glance, wet Bonner." Judith's eyes well with tears, but no words follow. Marcus taps to pay. The reader beeps again. The sale is done. The associate hands over the receipt with a quiet, "Happy birthday to your mom, sir." This time there's no stiffness in his voice, just sincerity. Marcus nods, takes the box, and turns. Camille follows. And as they reach the door, Camille pauses. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't look back. "You ever call the police again," she says, "make sure there's an actual threat, not just your discomfort. Because every time someone misuses that call, they gamble with someone else's life." The door closes behind them. And this time it's not just the sound of an exit, it's a line being drawn. Not everything stays buried forever. But what rises from the silence can change everything. The Arizona sun hasn't moved much in the last half hour, but something else has. The air around Marcus Greene feels less heavy now, not because the world has changed, but because he has. The necklace box sits quietly in his hand, a symbol that means more now than it ever could have when he first walked into the store. They don't talk much as they reach the car again. Camille opens the door and gestures for Marcus to get in. He doesn't hesitate this time. There's no weight of confusion in his steps, no shame dragging behind him. Only something steady, something earned. They slide into their seats and shut the doors with that familiar SUV thud. The windows close out the outside noise. Inside, it's still and cool again, but not sterile this time. It feels like protection. Camille looks over at her son. "You did what you came to do." He nods. "Yeah, I just didn't expect to have to fight for it." Camille rests both hands on the wheel without starting the engine. She's not ready to move yet. Neither is he. Marcus finally says, "You think she'll remember this?" That woman, Camille, doesn't answer right away. She stares out at the plaza at the same storefront that just held an entire storm and let it pass. "She might," Camille says softly. "Or maybe she'll convince herself she was misunderstood, that she had a right to feel uneasy, that calling the police was just precaution. Some people never unpack the harm they cause." Marcus leans back, sighs. "Then what's the point?" Camilla turns toward him. This time her voice lowers with weight. "The point is not about her. It's about you, your name, your presence, how you carry yourself, even when someone else tries to shrink you." He watches her closely now. She continues, "You didn't let her assumptions define you. You walked back in. You finished what you started. That's dignity, Marcus. That's strength." He looks down at the box, running his thumb over the smooth velvet pouch. "I just wanted to buy you something," he says. "I know." There's a silence that hangs for a moment. It doesn't hurt. It holds. Then she starts the engine and they pull away. Back home, the box sits quietly on the kitchen counter. Marcus doesn't wrap it. He doesn't plan a speech. He just slides it across the surface toward her and says, "Early gift." Camille opens the box slowly. Inside is the delicate gold chain, the small key pendant catching the overhead light just enough to glow. She doesn't say anything for a second. Her lips part. Her breath catches a little. "Why a key?" she finally asks. Marcus leans against the counter, arms crossed. "Because you're the reason I never felt locked out. Of anything. School, life, spaces where I didn't always feel welcome. You always made sure I knew I belonged. Camille blinks a few times, swallows the emotion in her throat. It's beautiful, she says, voice quiet. Marcus shrugs. I figured it should be. Later that night, Camille stands in the doorway of his room. Marcus is lying on his bed, headphones around his neck, scrolling through a basketball highlight reel. She knocks gently. You okay, she asks. He nods, then pauses. I'm tired, that's honest. He sits up slowly, thoughtful. You know what scared me the most, he asks. She waits. That I didn't do anything wrong. And they still came at me like I might have. Like my body in that space was already a risk. Camille steps into the room. She sits down beside him on the edge of the bed. That's the trap, she says. You did everything right. But this system, it doesn't always operate on right and wrong. It moves on fear, on old stories, on assumptions. He looks at her, searching. So what do I do? You keep showing up, she replies. In stores, in classrooms, in boardrooms one day. You show up in places people think you don't belong until they stop thinking that way. He nods slowly. You think she'll stop doing that? That woman, Camille, gives a tired smile. That's not your job. Her growth isn't yours to carry. You just carry your own. The next morning, far across town, Judith Harper sits in her car outside a grocery store sipping a lukewarm coffee. The world didn't end. No citation, no scandal. But something lingers. A phrase that won't let go. Maybe the first step is to ask yourself why someone looks suspicious to you in the first place. It echoes. It sticks. She watches a group of teenagers walk into the store, laughing, joking, backpacks, swinging. One of them wears a hoodie. She doesn't reach for her phone. She just watches. Back in their house, Camille clips the necklace on with quiet hands. It rests gently against her skin. She doesn't wear it because it's expensive. She wears it because it came from the kind of strength she hopes her son never forgets he has. Not the strength to fight, but the strength to return. Some stories end in apology, others in regret. But this one ends in something quieter, something more lasting. A young man walks into a place where he wasn't expected to belong. And when the world tried to nudge him out through fear, through silence, through the weight of a stranger's suspicion, he didn't yell. He didn't fold, he returned. And in doing so, he rewrote the moment, reclaimed the narrative. Not with rage, but with presence, with calm, with the kind of courage that doesn't chase a spotlight, but still lights a room. His mother didn't raise him to survive the world's gaze, she raised him to meet it head on. And when that moment came, he stood in it fully, without apology. That's what redemption really is. Not punishment, but reclamation. If you've ever been looked at like you didn't belong, remember this story. And if you've ever looked at someone with doubt before knowing their name, remember it too. Because respect should never be conditional. And justice doesn't always knock. Sometimes it walks and pays full price and leaves without flinching.